Oh, let's see. Going live. Okay, can we figure this out? Hi. Can everybody see? Are we here? Who's here? Who's alive? We got Old School Repair Shop apparently kicking in. Are you guys live? Hi, Old School says he can see what's going on. All right, give me just a sec. I got to. YouTube is stupid when it comes to this live chat stuff. You have to set up. Come on, get over here. You have to set up your stupid chat thing so that it shows things in order instead of top chat. I'm not sure why they do that. There we go. All right, there we go. That should be better. Man, I can't see out of those glasses. Those are horrible. Might have to go and fix that. All right. Oh. Speaking of that, let's set the cell phone so it's off. There we go. How's everybody doing? I gotta get it so I can see out of my eyeball covers. Give me just a sec. Nobody seems to have decided to invent windshield wipers with cleaning detergent for glasses yet that I'm aware of. Although, you know, in all the RC stuff that people have started coming out with, I bet that'll happen next. The people that monkey around with the WPL stuff. Those are really cool. Those WPLs, you can check them out on Wish and pick one up really cheap. The kids and I really have enjoyed those. Hi, I can see somebody's commenting, but I am blind as a naked mole rat without my glasses, so give me just a second. I appreciate you kicking in. All right, let's see. What's up, Gage? What's up to you, too? Ay, ay, ay. All right. So what's up tonight is I figured I'd stop in and see how you guys are doing. I've ended up with a lot going on lately, and I'll actually give you guys a little bit of rundown on what's been going on and what's going to be coming up. Life is interesting, and it's been a little bit of an up and down, but you know, it's panning out right now. Old School Repair Shop says, hey, I got 12 miles per hour with the footy 3-speed. That opposed twin can dig a ditch. Yeah, opposed twins are really torquey little setups. You got to be careful though with the little footies. They like to blow the snot out of the spider gears. There we go. I am so tired. Yeah, the spider gears like to go and blow up, so you got to be careful with that. Hi, Harrison. It's good to go and see you here. Hopefully everybody else is kicking in. If you guys have questions, feel free to throw them up, and you know, I might grab a couple of things to go and show you as we get into it and talk a little bit more about what's been going on once we get a few more people in and stuff. But feel free to go and ask questions and post them in the comments. That's what this whole chat is here for, is for me to be able to go and talk with you guys and work with you and where to help. I mean, we got the whiteboard behind me, and whoops, apparently I forgot to go and put my pistol away. Whoops. All right, well, YouTube doesn't like that kind of stuff, so oh well. Wouldn't be the first video that YouTube has decided to demonetize on me due to not liking something. Speaking of which, while we're here on the very start of this video, for people that end up seeing this in the future, I did not turn the comments off on my videos. I have never, ever, ever, ever turned the comments off in my videos. What's going on right now across YouTube, which unfortunately is spreading because of the libetard stupidity of the YouTube setup at this point, is that the pedophile situation that was brought to light, which I think isn't a situation, I think it's more of a hysteria of stupidity. The pedophile situation that was brought to light by a YouTube top user and creator has ended up escalating to the point that YouTube, in their usual situation of shoot everybody instead of just shooting the one bad apple in the group, has decided to turn off comments on channels that prolifically have children in them. Unless you can prove that you have a monitoring group that works with you on the creation of your channel in order to be able to moderate your comments so that pedophiles can't make tagging comments on your channel, they have turned off all comments. And due to having my daughter Riley and my son John in my videos, YouTube has decided that my channel is one of the ones that they will turn off all comments until I can prove that I supposedly have hired a moderating staff. With that being said, feel free at any point to get a hold of me on Facebook. Through the Facebook page, you can send a direct message. I have my email listed in almost all of the descriptions on my newer videos and stuff. It's just Maine as in the state, Maine Mud Mower at yahoo.com. You're more than welcome to kick in and send me an email if you like. And I go out of my way to try and respond. I was talking with somebody earlier today about carburetor tuning. And then I helped another guy earlier this week in order to find a set of blades for an older Simplicity. Because he had seen one in one of my older videos and asked me if I knew where to find the blades. So just keep it moving, and we're gonna work through this and do what we can. Okay, so let's kick back into a couple of the comments here, just now that we finally got that little why my comments are disabled cleaned up and talked about. So let's see. Without my Coke bottles, I can't see 2 inches in front of my face. Oh, you must be referring to your glasses. Yeah, actually, I pay to have mine compressed. I actually pay $60 extra a pair to have them compression sized. If you go to iBuy Direct, spelled EYE, I've ordered up, I think this is my 6th pair of lenses now. I mean, they're not the best quality, but when you're thrashing around here in the garage, you're grinding, you're constantly getting carburetor cleaner on it and stuff like that, it's worth it. I mean, $50 for a pair of glasses instead of $250 is just amazing. But yeah, check them out. iBuy Direct, EYE. Just bought a lawnmower that I'm going to build a mud mower out of. Cool, Gage. Actually, I've got a lot of kick-up interest with some local guys here in Maine that live near me that potentially might want to go and do the mud mower stuff. I'm working on getting in with a local ATV group and a few other things going on in the background, which unfortunately haven't fully materialized yet, so I can't talk about. But as it is, keep an eye out for the geared transmissions if you're building mud mowers. You can do it with a hydro, but you're going to burn stuff up. Just keep that in mind. Hydros are air cooled. And so once you get the mud up onto them and caked in, it ends up seizing, ends up seizing up the fan, and eventually something blows up. Let's see. Hey, can I get a shout out? I'm 12 and I'm into mud mowers. Craftsman Crusher gets a shout out just for the fact of you're here and you decide to make a comment, and I recognize you from being around before, so I'm giving it to you. I don't usually give too many shout outs. It's based on the fact of whether I actually care to watch your stuff whether you actually decide to comment and be useful in the chat, and whether I've noticed you before in one of the Facebook groups or something being helpful. Shout outs are one of those things that you can really make a channel rise and you can really help somebody. But at the same time, you got to be careful who you're endorsing. So Craftsman Crusher, I've seen you kicking around and I've seen a couple of your things bouncing around. Good on you. Glad to go and hear you're getting into it. Hello from Lawrenceville, Georgia. Wicked good. We got a bunch of guys down in Georgia that end up kicking up in the mud mower stuff. It's good to go and see you. Let's see, Craftsman Quad. Hey, Neil, how you like that 4.0 Ranger? The answer to the question is I love the 4.0 Ranger, except for it's a two-wheel drive. I really wish I had the four-wheel drive setup, and maybe I'll get to that in the future. The two-wheel drive with the 8.8 rear that's in it, it's got a LSD locker in the rear. So if I get it into the mud, it will spin both tires at the same time and hopefully get you out. But it's still a crapshoot, as they say, in certain situations. And so I really wish I had the four-wheel drive, and someday I'll get into it. But as it is right now, I need to be able to go get stuff. I've got the 410 rear in the Ranger that I have now, so it will hitch up and it will tug and it'll tow like a mule, but the gas mileage in it is horrible. I think most of the time my gas mileage is usually somewhere around 18 miles to the gallon, but it is what it is. The one thing I will say about the 4.0 though is that it is not a responsive engine. It is a very delayed, torquey engine. So if you stomp it, it comes up through very slow until it hits about 3,100 or so, and then all of a sudden it goes boom straight into the higher end. It's very slow till it hits that RPM curve, and then all of a sudden it red lines really quick. So you got to watch out for that when you're driving it. The same being said with also the automatic transmission that's in these. The motor itself puts out 210 horsepower, and guys are known, and the transmissions in these are notorious for guys hitting the dyno at about 250 and just blowing them to smithereens. So you just want to be happy with what it is and not be romping on it any more than you have to. You're going after torque, you're not going after high speed and horsepower. All right. What's the easiest way to lock a rear end? From Mountain Man. All right. So give me a sec. Let me grab a part here. Okay, so let's see what we can do here. So we got a bucket of parts. Okay, so let me grab this so I don't get my hands all dirty and all that other kind of stuff. Okay, so Mountain Man wants to know what the easiest way to lock a locker is. Now the thing is what I'm going to clarify here is there is the easiest way, and then there's the easiest to break way, which is also the easiest way. All right. See, it's nice to have a shop you can grab all kinds of random parts out of, except for the problem is you got to actually like know where all the random parts are. And usually the random parts usually come from something catastrophic happened. So let's take 5 seconds. This rear end is actually out of a transmission that the internals were just blown to pieces. So I saved the 1 or 2 parts that were still good. So this right here, this is your bowl gear. Okay. So your axles are going to come in from here, and you're going to have your spider gear that's on your axle piece here. Okay. So if we set this down, we'll set that right here. Okay. Next, you're going to have your spider gears. Okay. And they're on your spider pin. And I can tell you right now that this came out of a spicer. And here's the reason. The reason is this pin is so tiny. A Peerless transmission pin is about this thick, and a spicer is this thick. So I can tell you right now, this bowl gear and this spider gear setup came out of a spicer. So if I get these undone here, so these sit like this, okay? And we're going to put those down into our bowl gear over here. There we are. Okay, so we got our bowl gear, and we got these in. Okay, so your spider gear that is on your axle is going to click into this as we throw random washers around. It's going to click into this like this, and your axle is going to be going down through right here. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to set this up in your transaxle. You're going to have the bottom piece of your case, and you're going to set it up inside of it. And then what you're going to do, okay, is right here where this joins, you're going to have all of this nicely cleaned up. Right here where this joins, you're going to put a tack weld. And then you're going to come over on the other side, and you're going to put a tack weld. And then you're going to come over on the other side, and you're going to put a tack weld. And then you're going to come over on the other side, and you're going to put a tack weld. Right here where these two spider gears are joining, okay? So once you get that done and you tack weld all 8 points all the way around, and you need to make sure that your axle is spinning perfectly before you ever tack weld it, okay? Once you get that done, you're going to drop this out with your axles attached, okay? You're going to drop it out. Your axles are going to be attached, okay? There's going to be another spider gear over here. You're going to have your spider gear here with your axle attached, and where this is connecting right here, you're going to weld the snot out of this. You're going to weld every single little bit of piece that you can possibly get to right here. And then you're going to do it here. And then you're going to do it there. And you're going to do it there. And then you're going to take where these teeth grind, and you're going to do right there. You're going to weld that whole entire thing totally solid. And that is the strongest thing you can do without going to a locker block. If you need to go and learn how to do a locker block, then check around on my YouTube channel and look up locker block, and that'll teach you how to go and make a locker block and make the next strongest weldable. You can align these and weld on the inside edge. Okay? I'm not going to tell you you can't. I'm going to tell you you can. But I'm also going to tell you that's the stupidest thing in the world you can do. And here's the reason why. Okay? So you've got this pin. Okay? You've got this pin. And this pin is just standard mild steel. It's not hardened steel. It's just regular mild steel. It's just set up as greased as possible and everything. Okay? And these are sintered, which means they don't like to weld worth a snot anyway. It's actually almost a waste of time to weld these, which is why I came up with the locker block. But what you can do is you can weld on this inside edge. Except for the problem is your welding on the sintered steel is going to be a breaking point. And as you weld into this piece, if it is hardened, you're detempering your harden. which means that you're making it weaker, which means then you're going to have to try and quench it, which means you're going to take a chance of just snapping it, which is actually how I believe most people that end up building their spider locks doing this. I think that's honestly why it is most of them snap off, is I think what they're doing is instead of letting these cool down and come down to temperature, I think what they're doing is they're quenching them, and the centered steel versus the minorly hardened steel is contracting and it's snapping. So there you go. That's my thing on locking those. Give me 5 seconds to go put this menagerie of mess away. Anybody know how to take gloves off without getting yourself totally dirty? Here's your pop quiz, okay? So look, what you do is you take your edge piece here and you pull it out and you roll your fingers in. And then you come back across like this. Clean, okay? So now you take this hand, you bind it, okay, into a ball. Take the back side of this, which is the least likely to be dirty, and loop your fingers in and pull it back across, and then release your ball. Nice and clean. That's how you take them off, just like a doctor. All right, so let me set this tub of parts over here. There we go. Had to go and put those right directly into the wood stove. All right. All right. Like my haircut? It wasn't by choice. It was by necessity, unfortunately. We'll talk about that a little bit later. All right, so let me see. What do we got going on here? Due to how bad mine are, I can't. Hello from Belgium, Washington. Gee whiz, you're a long ways away. So wait a minute. If it's 7 o'clock here, you're in Belgium, Washington, so it must be like 4-ish, I think. I don't know. Tell me. I'm curious. I've never been good with that whole time zone thing. Big Stone Gap, Virginia. Hey, cool. I was down to Virginia Beach when I was in high school. That was fun. We went down for a music concert and stuff. We ended up getting in trouble because somebody decided to throw pop rocks off of an 8-story ledge. I tell you what, they take a long time to fall from 8 stories. And they get even more entertaining when the wind catches them and they blow across, and then like about 10 of them land next to a mall cop. Oh yeah, it was an interesting night after that. All right, let's see. Craftsman Quad says, I run Goodyear Wranglers on my Ranger. Wranglers are a good tire. I've seen a lot of people use them. Yep. 235, 75, 15s. Yep. That sounds about right. 75 bucks a piece. Holy cow. Did you buy them retail 75 bucks a piece? That seems really off. All right. How's everybody doing with this flu that's been going around? So far my family, everybody has managed to go and get sick and down for like 5-6 days, and I seem to be about the only one who's standing right now. Yeah. I just wish there was people in the South that would like to go ride. I have Mr. Murray Mayhem, but he's too far away. I also have Randy down in Florida. is too, but you're too far away also. Yeah, it is hard to go and find people that want to go riding at times. What I've ended up finding is actually just like talking with ATV groups. A lot of times, if you talk with ATV groups, you'll find that one person that decides to go and, talk about it and see what's going on and all that kind of stuff. And then from there, it'll expand. Canadian Pacific Studios, you should get an old Craftsman. I actually have an old Sears Suburban that I'm planning on doing a repower once lawn tractor season starts to die down a little bit. What you guys don't know and haven't seen because the footage isn't up yet is I actually picked up since during the shooting of the last Saber video, I actually picked up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more mowers since then, and there'll be video coming out for them also. So, so we'll have 5 more. We'll have four-ish, maybe 5 more tractor hunt videos coming out, and we'll go from there. But I do have the Sears Suburban that I want to go and do a build with. I do have another gas-powered Power Wheel build in the works for this winter. And I do want to get back to the original hydro build for those of you who have been kicking around since the 3 years ago when that existed. I want to make the hydro build come back, and I want to do it bigger and better this time. I think I figured out what I did wrong the first time, and we can make it work. Let's see. No flu here, just death. Yeah, we get that up here too. The problem with Maine is Maine's becoming a very large retirement community. I'd say like a fourth of our population at this point is a retirement type idea. Vacation land turned into retirementville in the summertime, and we flew up through here, and the whole place ends up with people dropping dead from it. What oil do you recommend goes in a Peerless 600, a transaxle? Some say tranny fluid, some say 890. Okay, so Hillbilly ATV, here's my statement to that I've always gone by. So if you talk with anybody who runs a lawn tractor in the plow season during winter, they all end up having issues with their transmissions during plow season. And the reason being is unless you actually swap in 50% ATF fluid, the gear fluid ends up clogging up and you end up burning belts to snot and everything else. Except for the problem is that then means that you have a low viscosity during your summertime. But the thing is ATF fluid will splash up on everything. So my go-to has always been a 50-50 mix, but that's because I live in northern climate. The more southern you get, the more you can probably just run the regular 80-90, but the more northern you get, the lower viscosity that you have to go and have in order to be able to throw it around during the winter climate. Thank you. I didn't mean for you to go through all of that. I apologize. Hey, Mountain Man, that's what we're here for. That's what this chat is here for, is to be able to go and ask questions and talk about stuff and be able to learn. I have no issue about ripping out a set of spider gears and showing exactly how the differential works and how to do a locker. No worries at all. Fire and Gasoline stopping in, saying what's up. His channel is growing big time. You should go check him out. Good people, good, nice, high quality builds, and they're definitely doing stuff that's new. No rehashes on that channel. That's one thing I really respect about them. Go check them out. Just got my Spicer tranny back from getting fixed for my... Yeah, Spicers, just be careful with Spicers. You got to watch how much torque you put into them. I mean, they'll work great. You just got to be careful on the torque or you'll blow everything right to smithereens. Spicers, if you get a 3600, it's actually a knockoff of a Peerless 930. Now, there seems to be some argument back and forth. I've never had both at the same time to be able to really monkey with them open. But theoretically, the upgraded parts from a 930 should fit in a Spicer, and a Spicer should fit over to a 930. And the case on a 930 is stronger than the Spicer 3600. But I've never had the chance to actually test the interchangeability of them. But the 3600 is a blatant knockoff of a 930. So if you know one, you know the other. Build a race mower. I wish. If I lived down in southern Maine where they actually have a racing area, I would. Unfortunately, up here they just don't have the racing. Actually, one of the dirt tracks is actually reopening supposedly this year after being closed for quite a while, up at a place called Unity Raceway, about an hour from my house. Well, half an hour from my house. So hopefully I'll get to go see some dirt track racing again. I really miss that. I went there a lot as a kid. Let's see. I lost a friend last week. A truck hit his car and killed him. So, old school repair shop. I lost a friend last week. A truck hit his car and killed him. Then another down the road from there. Then Monday, I almost got hit by a tractor and a trailer. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. It's amazing, some of the people driving nowadays. My wife got rear-ended about, I think it was 7 months or so ago. She got rear-ended by somebody staring at their phone. Like, she was at a dead stop. They just came right down through, and she went to take off from the stop, and the person kind of popped out, so she hit the brakes just lightly, and the person behind her never even like looked up from the phone and rear-ended her. You gotta really watch out. It's amazing. The people don't pay attention at all nowadays. Any tips on why I would be melting positive wires on a wrench? Any tips on why I would be melting positive wires on a wrench? I don't quite understand what you're asking. Junkyard Dog, why don't you reword it a little bit and try again? I'm not quite sure where you're going with that. Canadian Canadian Pacific Studios. Thanks for the tips. You're welcome. I'm glad I can help. That's exactly what this chat is here for, and that's what we're doing. It's we don't have enough of this. We need more community going on, like in the old days, and that's what I really want to start getting back here. Barry Spencer, do you worry about sunburned head? Actually, Gary, the reason this is buzzed off is because I've had to go in for potential preemptive cancer treatment. I've actually had to go under the knife to go and have moles removed. There's one there actually, and they just got done slicing that one out of me. And they just sliced off this one. They had to take off another 2 on the back of my neck. They've had to take off several on my back. I'm at 16 at this point. We did 11 in one day. The lady that was doing it said she's never done more than 5 on anybody in one sitting. And so I didn't have a choice with this. It's actually because I have about 7 moles across the top of my head. I've got 2 on my back, and I've got 12 across my face. In between that, my beard. There's another one here that's probably going to have to get cut off soon. And I, I'm going to end up having to go in to have moles surgically removed off of me probably about every 3 months or so in order to get down through. Um, I went into a doctor's office about 6 months or so ago, which is actually why it is my YouTube channel changed as much as it has. Um, Long story short, my father started having a lot of problems medically. And back about 9 months or so ago, my father started having a lot of medical problems, and he started to go downhill. And we knew that he was going to need a lot more care than I was capable of working a 40-hour work week. And then on top of that, my wife managed to go and get a new job that paid about 3 times what she was making. Well, that also ended up becoming a great thing in that I went into a doctor's office because I couldn't stop scratching. And I couldn't stop scratching on my back of my neck. I couldn't stop scratching across the sides of my arms. I couldn't stop scratching across the upper part of my shoulder. And I couldn't stop scratching in a couple of other spots. And I went in and I showed the doctor what was going on, and kind of jokingly told him, doctors have always told me that they're going to have to remove my moles at some point. And he took one look at my back when I took my shirt off and didn't even flinch. He immediately decided to tell me, "You're going to a dermatologist. This isn't a choice. This is you're going." And so I ended up going to a dermatologist within 2 months. And my my very first visit to the dermatologist, all I did was take my shirt off. And the woman took one look at my chest, one look at my back, and immediately signed me up for getting them surgically removed off of me. My very first visit was 4 of them, and I wasn't ready to deal with publicly talking with you guys about any of it. Actually, back when it was happening, I was working through getting Facebook sponsorship to be able to do video production for Facebook. And I had to be on a schedule producing videos of HD quality, and I had to be on a weekly schedule. And so what some of you ended up kicking back and noticing was that twice I posted up videos that were actually, I actually posted up videos during that time that were actually last year's videos rehashed in order to be able to make my qualifications to keep my Facebook promotion. And during that time, the reason why it is that I had done that is because the first time they had surgically removed the moles across here. They had removed one here. They had removed 3 or 4 across the back of my neck. And I physically couldn't do anything without having a big giant gauze pad here, and I had gauze pads here, and I couldn't move my head or else they would start bleeding. When you have moles surgically removed, they don't just cut like your skin. When you look at it, is like you've got 3 or 4 basic positive layers, and when they go in, they actually cut down through all the way through into your blood vessel layer underneath. And so when they cut them out, you bleed profusely. There's no nice way to say it. You literally bleed through gauze pads one right after another. And so you spend about a week and a half of wherever they lance one of these out of, having to go and have gauze pads on you, just continuously changing them. The ones on my back, I think my poor wife had to go and change probably at least 5 times a day to 6 times a day. And I ended up buying her 2 different sets of sheets for our bed. as an I'm sorry, because I bled through and I ruined sheets one right after another. Um, and they actually ended up lancing one out of the bottom of my right foot, and I physically couldn't stand on it for a while because it was painful. Um, so that's the reason why my videos got weird on the Facebook page, is because I had to find filler videos, because it's a little bit hard to shoot a video talking to people when your head has to stay totally put, or else you start bleeding down your back and stuff again. Um, then on top of that, my father ended up in the ER 3 months ago. He ended up in an ER visit that originally went in for what we thought was going to be a really minor thing. And then um, next thing we knew, he was in emergency surgery because he had intestines that were about to actually explode inside of him. And we had to take him in for emergency surgery, 2 ICU visits later. And then he finally came home, and he was on basically 12-hour nursing care. And at that point, I ended up quitting my job at the computer shop, and I've continued to have to go and stay out of work from that. So that's why it is that I do a lot more of the YouTube work now, and I do a lot more YouTube stuff, is because my father ended up needing a lot more care than I could provide doing a 40-hour job. So I've been pushing the YouTube stuff in order to make the extra income to support myself being home more. Which is another big shout out to you guys, the people that have gone out of their way to go into the Amazon store app and be able to go through in my comments and purchase through that. Every purchase really helps. I really can't stress it enough, the fact that, a quarter here and a quarter there adds up to the point that at some point I get to buy a cup of coffee and thank you guys. So I appreciate that, and thanks very much. On a side note, my father ended up back in the ER, and at this point he ended up needing care to the point that he is in an assisted living plan, and he's not able to get out and around very much. So what I'm going to do with this video is I'm actually going to drop an address down in the video area. And if any of you would like to take the time to send him a letter or anything, and just give him 5 seconds worth of, hey, I watched your son on YouTube or something, get better, it would be really awesome. He's a very social guy, and my dad traveled a lot. When I was a kid growing up, he was in the American Meteorology Society, and he also did NASA document research editing. And so he's a very smart man. He's a very well-traveled man, and he has been to all 48 he's been to all 48 continental states. And if you could include like what state you're from and stuff like that, and send him something, it would absolutely make his day. So I'm going to include right in the comments a statement of what that address is that he's at right now. And if anybody happens to see this and you feel like filling out something and just saying hi and making a 77-year-old have the coolest day of his life, I'd really appreciate it and would just love it. He would absolutely think it's the coolest thing ever. My dad's always been really kind of up and down on supporting me with the YouTube channel. And it would be really cool to see the YouTube channel actually kick back and give him some support in his time of need right now. But so that's what ended up happening. And that's the reason why it is right now I'm as bald gets. I actually had to shave the whole entire thing totally clean in order to go in for getting the moles surgically removed. It's been kind of interesting to have it shaved, and it's been really weird to have the kickback of seeing all the old scars. I actually put hammer tongs in the top of my head when I was a little kid. That's probably the worst Father's Day story ever. When I was a little kid, my dad, for Father's Day, I thought I was going to go and make him the coolest thing ever, because I had learned how to use the circular saw. I learned how to use the table saw. I knew how to go and use a hammer and nail, or at least I thought I did. And my dad always has had books. He loves books on anything to do with boats. He loves books on anything to do with the sea. He used to go out on boats whenever he would get the chance. He loves anything to do with maritime, or the Great Lakes, or anything to do with that. Anything to do with old nautical history, or the Great Lakes, or anything to do with that kind of stuff. And but he always had books, more books than he could ever go and have shelves for. And so I thought I would be a good son, and I thought I would go and make my dad some shelves. So I cut these boards down, and I had all the shelves set out, and I set it up on its side in order to be able to nail in the last couple of nails. And me not knowing anything about carpentry, I had built the side piece out of a piece of plywood, and I came down on that thing with the hammer just as hard as I could. And I think I was probably 11 years old or so at the time. And I came down on that thing just as hard as I could. Now, keep in mind, I'm 11 years old. I'm in a wood shop. I had snuck in, and I had just gotten done using a table saw. And I have the hammer, I swing, and I hit the board that was going this way fell out. And the piece of plywood was sitting there, and I hit down on it with the hammer, and it bent down, and it came up like a springboard. And so I went bang straight into the top of my own skull. And I still, to this day, I have hammer tong scars on the top of my head. So that's my Father's Day story. Don't ever make a Father's Day gift that requires the ER. Just my hint for the up and coming Father's Day. I also have another scar on the side over here. That was my lesson in 3rd grade about don't decide to pick a fight with somebody 3 times your size. I was winning the fight, and he decided to put me in a headlock, and apparently I wouldn't pass out. And so his idea was next to run with me in a headlock directly as fast as possible at a brick wall. And he ran my head clean into the brick wall and smashed me out of the headlock. And I actually proceeded to beat the snot out of the kid while my head was bleeding, and have the fight broken up by the principal. So that was where my other scar came from, because I was too busy deciding to go and fight with the kid rather than decide to go and fix it. And I took a couple of other swings to the head, and it actually tore it open worse during the fight. But, 3rd grade, you got to learn somewhere. All right, so let's go back to the question up here. Okay. I mean, how can't you see a rally car with LED? Oh, okay. So old school is going back through to talking about the gentleman who apparently died. And let's see. All right, so we're back to talking about the amperage going through positive batteries, apparently. All right, so yeah, I agree with what Fire and Gasoline said. You got to go and make sure that you have the appropriate amperage for what you're dealing with. The one thing that I see a lot of people end up doing that they don't pay attention to is that anything that is directly coming off of that battery terminal, anything coming right directly off that battery terminal potentially has the full amperage of that battery coming out of it. And you got to remember, I mean, you can strike a 1/16 welding rod with only about 500 cranking amp. In fact, I've seen people do it in a pinch with a 400 cranking amp. So you're literally just barely underneath the cranking amp to be able to weld something. So always be really paranoid and pay attention to that, because if you take a low gauge wire and you hook it up with all that amperage, you're going to light the thing on fire like a filament in a light bulb. And that's the end of the story at that point. So Barry says, sorry to hear that. Our best wishes, follow doctor's orders. Yeah, so Barry, going back to that, as far as following doctor's orders at this point, so what's going to end up happening is about every 3 months or so, I'm going to end up having to go in, and I'm probably going to end up with another three to five lanced at this point potentially. Um, hopefully after about 6 to 9 months from now, I'll be at the point of just being monitored to go and see what's going to have to be removed. But anything that is a mole growth, I'm going to have to pay attention to trying to keep out of the sun from now on. And so I'm going to actually be buying full UV cover long sleeve shirts and things like that. I'm going to see if I can get actual UV capability shirts that are lettered up with the Redneck Computer Geek logo as an aftermarket. We'll see. I've got some people around here that do screen prints, and I'm going to see what they'll do. Let's see. I've got one on the right side of my neck, right where my neck meets my jawline. Yeah, just keep an eye on it. You can actually look up and find out like what the transition colors are and stuff for active and stuff. At this point, I've ended up with a little over half of them being active and strange, and so it's a good thing I got them removed, and I ended up with the other half being benign. So at this point, it's no joke, it's no gimmick. I've got to pay attention or else I'm going to end up with skin cancer. And with as much welding as I do and the fabricating that I do and the work out in the sun and stuff, I'm not going to give it up. I refuse to. I'm not going to stop welding. I'm not going to stop grinding, and I'm not going to stop being out in the sun. So we're just going to have to keep going under the knife and getting scalpeled off a couple of chunks at a time until we get rid of them. We'll see how it goes. Let's see. Lucky Greenleaf is the name, correct? Yes. Harbor Hill is the place that he's currently at. Lucky Greenleaf is his name. So long story short, with the Lucky is that nobody calls my dad by his real name. If you call my dad by his real name back when he was younger, that was probably a good way to get punched. If you called him by his actual real name, you were either a lawyer, or you were somebody that wanted money, or you were somebody that didn't deserve to know him. So yes, his name is Lucky, and if you want to go and send him something to that address, it would be really killer and really awesome to go and see. He would appreciate it, and he would love just to go and receive something. My dad's actually is a stroke survivor from 12 years ago, and he actually only has the use of one hand. He's only got the use of his right hand, and he fell and he ended up smashing out his hand about 3 weeks or so ago. And so his only good hand that he has right now is actually in a cast, done up, and he only has the use of these 3 fingers because his pinky is wedged, his thumb is set aside. He only literally has 3 fingers to use right now for everything. It's been really rough on him, and it's been really hard to watch. He's theoretically going to get the cast off in about 2 weeks, and that'll really hopefully help his mentality. I guess you'd say, help his spirits and get him up a little bit. But that's what's going on in the background here. Is while I'm flipping tractors, I'm dealing with my own stuff. My wife has had some medical stuff that's come up. Her job, she pulled 64 hours last week at her job. So I've had to play Mr. Mom a lot lately, which I'm fine with. I actually really enjoy being Mr. Mom. Um, I love the slogan Mr. Mom. I really do. I love how it pisses off people when you say you're a Mr. Mom. And I love giving them hell. Like, you know what? It's not my fault that I can manage to go and take care of chickens, manage to go feed everybody, take care of the bunnies, take care of the dogs, take care of the kids, take care of 2 elderly grandparents, and I make sure that there's food on the table and work on doing the laundry. I am a Mr. Mom and I am proud of it, and I totally love it. I enjoy doing it. Um, there are days there are days that I want to rip my hair out, but there's none left to do that with right now. But yeah, it's been an interesting change of life, and it's allowed me to do a lot more YouTube work going forward. I've been really pushing to make sure in my videos, especially the how-tos, going back through, making sure to update the parts, making sure to update the part links and stuff like that. And anything that you guys purchase through those links, I make basically 25 cents off of. So, if at some point you're able to go through and purchase something through one of those links or purchase something through the store, it kicks back and it allows me to keep doing this. I mean, this is really my life right now. Is I either really make this work or I figure out getting a part-time job and I give up on this. That's basically where I'm at. Um, so that is what it is. That's the honest truth to all of you. Um, I'm a stay-at-home dad at this point that's working the YouTube thing and doing the best I can, and I'm helping you guys because you help me. So let's see. Edmund Picot Jr. If I butchered that name, I apologize. I'm a Mainer with a really bad accent, and plus I have a slight lisp. So um, I hope I got that right. I'm sorry. Um, I really want. Let's see. We love our redneck computer geek. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, and I love my fans, and I love you guys, and I love the community. That's what I want to build. I really want you to see my tractor when I'm done with it. Don't miss no appointments. Do just what they say and be ashamed of your head scars, bro. Oh, I'm not ashamed of my head scars. I think they're a riot. Um, I've got the hammer tongs in the top of my head. I've got the scar from my fist fight when I was in 3rd grade. I've got another scar across the side over here, which was probably the most masculine scar you could ever get in your life. Totally joking. Actually, that scar is because of the fact that I ice skate about as good as a walrus. And I went to go ice skating, and the real sad part is I was on those retarded 2-prong skates. Is anybody old enough to remember those when those were a thing? Back when I was a kid, they used to have these "we feel sorry for how bad you suck at ice skating" skates. And they instead of the one runner, they actually had 2 runners down them, and they were like an inch apart. So theoretically, like, no moron could fall down in them. Well, this moron did. I fell down in them and I slammed my head totally square straight onto the ice. And in the middle of a crowd of like 30 people, I smashed my skull straight in, and I split my hair and my scalp all the way down through the side of my head. I put a gash probably about that far down the side. Um, I was young enough that one actually ended up healing up pretty good, but that was my reality check, that there are some people that just are not made to ice skate. I mean, the fact that I couldn't ice skate on the full, like, dumb people skates, I just don't. I don't rollerblade either. But yeah, let's see. Craftsman Quad says mine has been there almost my whole life. It just looks like a mosquito bite or a pimple. Had it cut off when I was probably about 10, but it grew back within a year. Yeah, actually, that's a known problem. This one here, actually, that I just had removed. So if you go in order to go and have them actually sliced off, they slice them off and they go a perimeter of about an eighth of an inch out and around them, which is the other reason why healing on my back neck one took quite a while. Um, the one on the back of my neck was actually just under the size of a quarter. So if you take a quarter and you put it on the back of your neck, and then imagine having to slice almost an eighth of an inch out wide of that. That's what I had sliced out of the back of my neck. I had another one sliced out of the side of here about the size of a nickel. I had another one sliced off the top of my chest that was about the size of a nickel, and they literally gouge down inside of your skin. I'm thinking about doing a video on it just because I couldn't find anybody really talking about it, and maybe, you know, talking to people more about like what it was like, what they did when I was there, and you know, the experience and stuff like that. But that might be a throw up there video that I might do later on. You know, just so that other people that go through it or have gone through it might have something to go and be able to show people. How do I find what amperage I need to be using for it? Okay, Junkyard Dog, I think we're going back to that whole what are you wiring up? Junkyard Dog, what are you wiring up that you keep frying wires to? Yeah, that's where you're apparently not following us here. Um, so what are you wiring up that you're frying the wires to? All right. Well, I just heard a really loud snap and a squealing noise in the background, which means that I finally managed to go and get that stupid rat that's been pissing me off in the back of my garage. Hallelujah. um, sorry, it's the little things in life. Um, by the way, if you guys are out to go and try and kill rats, I totally recommend the Tomcat rat traps. Those things are just wicked. They will snap off they'll snap off popsicle sticks and stuff like that. Actually, I think I got one here. Give me a sec. Actually, this is a Tomcat knockoff. I've been buying these. They're not as strong as a Tomcat rat trap. Um, they're knockoffs, and they're called Cat Sense. KATSENSE. They're a Tomcat knockoff. You can buy them by a 6-pack on Amazon, and I actually really like these little monsters. These ones aren't as strong as the Tomcats, but they're quick setup, and they're really, I mean, there's your stick, and they're great little monsters. And what's interesting about these, whoops, I dropped it. Hold up. What's interesting about these is that they also actually have the Tomcat port on the bottom. So you rotate it and you pop it and you pack your peanut butter, or you pack whatever it is you're using for a bait. I find peanut butter works good. Hey, there we go. There's something to flood the comments with. Rat traps. What do you put in your rat traps? Because eventually they get wise to peanut butter and they stop biting in them if they manage to get away from the trap. So you have to change it up about every week and a half to something else. I usually swap it over to a little bit of cheddar cheese for about a week, but put in whatever it is you use for your rat traps, and that way everybody can get a mix of different ideas. But anyways, so what's cool about these, because this is a cat sense. This is a Chinese fake, but it does the same exact thing. So this pops out and you put it in the bottom. I'll see if I can do this on video. And you click it like that. And the reason for that is you now don't have to stick your finger in there. But that's the reason why I use these sticks, is because then I can reach in and I can pack it and I can move it around in order to be able to mix up the peanut butter and make it smell again. But yeah, I mean, I love these things. Cheap. I scared myself. Okay, so we're going to put that away. Actually, give me a sec. I got to put that underneath my desk in case one tries to make it up the sewer pipe again. Let's see. All right, let's see. Okay, so apparently Junkyard was talking about wires to a winch. I apologize. Thank you very much for pointing that out in the comments that I had missed that. I appreciate it. So yeah, on a winch cable, you want something like, this kind of gauge minimum. Like you're talking actual full battery terminal type gauge. What in the hell? Look at this. I got a wolf spider just decided to jump out of here. Hold up. Where'd he go? Yeah. Look, little wolf spider. What are you doing? There he is. Oh. Run away! Sorry, I couldn't help it. The stupid thing jumped on my thumb. All right, so anyways, winch cable. Okay, back to this. This is your standard cable that you run for a grounding cable for your battery. This is also the kind of gauge you want to use for your winch cable. I've actually probably got super winch cabling sitting here somewhere. Oh, speaking of winches, you guys want to see the coolest freebie that I have gotten in a long time? Okay, fine. So it's not the coolest, but I did get this as a freebie at one of my tractor hunts. This was free. The guy told me just go ahead and take it. It's a Badland 2000, and it actually works. How awesome is that? Isn't that sweet? I love freebies like this. So, yeah, I'm going to put this on my trailer. I think that'll be awesome. Because the one thing that you can do with these is you can set out these terminals here, and you can be able to go and hit them with a battery booster. In order to operate your winch, you just swap it back and forth as to which one you want to hit. And what's nice about that Adu, let me grab it, I'll show you. So this is the older style Adu. If you look on my last tractor hunt video, you'll see there's actually a link in the description for the newer style. You want to buy one of the Adu booster packs that has this little dingus here. And this is really sweet because it's got this button, this manual override button. It's the coolest thing I have ever worked with any kind of booster. I've been using boosters now ever since I started making the regular standard booster packs and stuff. I've been using boosters for almost like 12 years now, and this has got to be the #1 coolest feature I think I have ever seen. So as you can see right now, it starts beeping. Okay. Now, normally, if I was to go and take this, and look, right now, I can take these. No spark, right? Which means I can cleanly attach them right directly onto this winch. No spark, right? Okay. So, as anybody knows, as long as you're connected directly and you're using a relay circuit, the same exact thing as using your winch control, you don't get sparks, you don't fry contacts, you don't maul contacts or anything. That's what this little button is. So if I hold down this little button and we watch this, it's going to turn solid and this thing's going to move. Pretty neat, huh? So once you unplug it and then you plug it back in, it resets. So now I can swap it back to the other side, because that's all a winch circuit is. It's just two solenoids swapping back and forth. So that was on the out. So now let's go in. Uh-oh, we didn't get good contact. It never goes right on the first try. That's why you have multiple takes when you're making videos. And so what's also interesting is that it's got a built-in timer circuit. So while it's in manual mode, it actually overrides itself after a certain period of time. I think it's 30 seconds or so. And it shuts it off. And it turns red on here. And it will not fire back up until you actually physically unplug it and plug it back in order to reset it. So yeah, the red Adu booster pack that they sell, the link is in my last Saber video. Go check it out. Make sure you get one that has this manual connection. Adu sells several of these. The one with the manual connection is the one you want. I absolutely love this thing. I bench test starters with it all the time. Like, I love... You know, you got a starter like this, your gear is totally bunged, but you want to see whether it's worth rebuilding. So you want to see if it's worth rebuilding, right? Because your gear is all messed up and you've got to go and take that top piece off, and inevitably taking that off is how you stab yourself. And like this. That's from rebuilding one of these starters, by the way. That's exactly where the flathead screwdriver goes when you miss. Don't miss. The sad part is I stabbed myself twice to the point that I put red electrical tape on my finger in order to go and cover up the owie so that I would quit stabbing myself in the same spot and remember to put it down on the other side of the starter. That's how stupid I can be at times. Okay, but here, this is what's cool about this booster, and I love these things. Adu's actually sending me the upgraded version of this. I can't wait to be able to play with that. So what you do, if you got a starter like this, and you can do this on any of them, okay? So you got a solid steel mount starter, and you got the aluminum one like this one. So this is your standard starter that you would see on a smaller Briggs single. This is your standard starter you would see on a Briggs opposed twin. So yeah, opposed twin. So what you do is you take your ground, and you clamp it off on the top of the starter, okay? You just clamp it off on there. You take your red, and right where your battery terminal goes, right there, you clamp onto it. Now, this thing has a significant amount of torque in it. So what you do is you hold on to it, you punch in your red, manual button, and then once you get it going and you test it, you just pull on this and it'll unplug itself. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Like so. Now, as you can hear, that starter is done for. Okay? That's why it's here. It's just parts at this point. It's not doing well. I'm going to probably try and rebuild it, but just is what it is. I keep it more just for the reference. This is a small knockoff version of an opposed twin starter. They really honestly should be about this long. This is the cheap Chinese knockoff version. But you can do that. You can do that whole same idea with just about any kind of starter. It doesn't matter whether it's automotive, whether it's automotive, whether it's a lawn tractor, whether it's whatever. And I don't remember what's in this box. I ordered it for one of the up-and-coming tractors that I just got, but I don't remember what I ordered. You ever have that moment where you order so many things, where you order so many things for different projects that you just totally forget what it is that you ordered? It's really heavy, whatever it is. Oh, okay, I know what it is. All right. Anybody able to guess what kind of motor this goes on? Let's have a little bit of challenge here. Okay, so what's it go on? And did I order it for a single or a twin? Actually, that's funny that you said Kawasaki. I actually just got done ordering these for Kawasaki. Good job. Spencer Wood is in the house. He's got it right. We got a Kohler with a single cylinder. Good job, Spencer. All right, let's see what we got going on up here. Oh yeah, the whole rat trap conversation. All right, we'll have to go and we'll have to come back to that and reread some of those comments at some point. But Cheez-Its? Are you for real? You put Cheez-Its in a rat trap. I am so trying that. Cheez-Its. Okay, I'm going to try that. Tim Lee says raw bacon. Okay, I'm game for raw bacon in a mousetrap. All right, let's see. I like peanut butter because they have to sit and lick it off and it takes time. My dad takes Elmer's glue and sunflower seeds or corn to the trigger, makes them have to tug. Or Elmer's glue for corn and sunflower seeds. That is an absolutely brilliant idea. I love that. That is awesome. Edmund says, don't let your head get caught in the mouse trap. You don't need any more scars from the trap. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. No, I don't need any more scars. I've got plenty of scars. Get a shotgun and shoot the spider. Actually, yeah. I don't have a shotgun in here, but I do have this. Actually, this is what I hunt the rats with when I have to go and deal with them in the grain bins. This is my 22 Heritage. And what I've got loaded in it right now is I've got 22 rat shot CCI. So I've actually got multiple cylinders for this. I've got the other one sitting right here above me. I keep multiple cylinders. So these are just standard, Remington hollow points. That's how I deal with raccoons. One shot straight to the skull tends to mess them up pretty good. And that's how I deal with the rat situation. I'm actually debating doing a video on that, on the rat shot, and just how lethal it ends up being in close quarters and stuff, and what it'll go through. Yep, see, this is what I use. See if the camera will focus. There we go. There we go. Just because I showed you guys a gun, YouTube will probably censor this video. This is what it is. So yeah, so that's what I use. And actually, how many of you are on Instagram? On my Instagram? I will send you a video. I will send you a picture right now on Instagram of how I got a rat today. And my kids are going to be severely jelly of how I did it. Ready? Do you guys want to see? I bet you want to see. I don't know whether, I don't think I've ever tried to go and see whether this camera will see my phone. Let's try that, just because. Come on. Come on, rotate. Why you no rotate? Okay, let's try this. Can you see that? That's my kid's blowgun. That's a rat. I couldn't take it anymore. I ended up wedging the stupid thing over there. It was up against the boards, and I knew that if I ran to go get my, pistol, that the stupid thing was going to run away. And my kids have a blowgun target in the back, and they've got about 5 different blowguns right now. They've got all kinds of different blowgun darts for their 40 cal blowguns. And so I grabbed the thing and I loaded a dart and I shot the stupid rat. I used to actually hunt them that way when I was a kid, so I really didn't think too much of it. But then looking back on it, well, it is what it is. So yeah, there you go. It's up on Instagram now. I'll probably end up having some sort of kickback for that, but you know, it is what it is. I post up pictures of the chickens and stuff like that, and raising chickens, rats come along with it, so they can get over it. I never tried it, but I've heard from a pest guy that ranch dressing works for rats. Ranch dressing. I'm gonna try that as a mix-up idea. That's great. So okay, so we've got Cheez-Its, raw bacon, Elmer's glue with sunflowers and something else. I forgot what it was. Ranch dressing. We got peanut butter. That gives us 5 different ideas. So that's able to change it up about once a week for 5 weeks. That's worth it. That's good. Thanks, guys. That's a bit about once a week. Otherwise, they'll get used to the traps and they'll start ignoring them. Let's see. What brand of winch? It's a Badlands. The winch I got for free, that's a Badlands 2000. It's just a standard Harbor Freight winch. But just being able to run it off of shocking it and giving it clear, it's good. Let's see. Anthony Morse, thank you for the sticker. Hey, I'm glad that you got it. I actually had a sticker kicked back because somebody ended up sending me the wrong address or something. It ended up being a return to sender or something like that. Yeah. If one of you sent me an email and you didn't end up getting a sticker, send me back an email on it, and maybe we'll talk it out and figure out what's going on. Pressurized potato gun is good fun to knock a rat out. You have no idea. I discovered something to put into the Redneck Computer Geek air rifle. There's going to be a video coming up of that. I'd like to go and do it when I have my kids around. So I got to wait for a time to make it. But I found something that I think will shoot out of my air compressor air gun. And I think it'll look awesome. I think it'll do awesome. And I think you're going to be amazed as to what it is that I'm going to load into that thing. But we're going to see what we can do. I've got a miniature fridge that's going to be the target, and we'll see what kind of damage we can do. I mean, we already managed to go and put a field tip arrow all the way through a refrigerator. So we got to find something else to shoot through it. And the 1.5 ounce slugs, you know, they're fun, but we know what they'll do for damage. So we got to find something else. Let's see. I used to shoot wasp nests out of the bowed window at our cabin in Ohio. Use those little blunt plastic nubs to knock. I just had a rat run by. Okay, so, well, I guess I'm putting a trap down there next. Anyways, uh, blunt plastic nubs to knock down the nests and run. Okay, wasp nest. Redneck how to get rid of wasp nests that actually works. Not some stupid thing to go and end up getting you totally mauled to death by wasps. A totally serious statement on wasp nests. Get a kid's super soaker or one of those knockoff Family Dollar ones that shoots like 20 feet. And it only works to do this once, okay? You need to put about 75% bleach into it and the rest with water. Shoot that wasp nest with that compound of bleach and water, and that thing will absolutely like just gel and collapse and fall, and it'll kill the wasps if you can shoot them too. The other thing that kills wasps, amazing, is I got a can of it here. Wait a minute. You want to kill some wasps at a solid distance with something cheap? Brake cleaner. Non-chlorinated brake cleaner will kill wasps. You can literally just shoot them right straight out of the air and and just watch them just bundle up in the air and fall. That if you shoot a wasp with brake cleaner, it'll literally fly about 2.5 feet, 3 at the very most, and just ball up and fall out of the air. So yeah, we're having an interesting discussion. We're talking about how to kill rats, how to kill wasps. We're doing all kinds of stuff today. So yeah, so brake cleaner. That's how I deal with wasps. I shoot them right off of my porch all summer long. But yeah, if you want to make the nest come down, you want to go and get rid of it. Shoot the nest with bleach, as much bleach as you can, and it'll take it right off. I didn't get anything cool this time. Actually, I did, but not anything new. You know, just Australian ginger ale. I really love this stuff. It's really nice and tasty, and you know, got to keep my whistle wet while I babble at you guys for 2 hours. Actually, that's the reason why it is that I'm ending at 9 o'clock. Is because I used to go and end up having to go in nursing care, take care of my dad. And so what would end up happening is I would end up having to go and take care of him at 6 o'clock. And then I'd log in, and then I would eat supper immediately. And then I would take care of talking with you guys. And then 9 o'clock, I would need to go take care of him. And so that's part of the reason why we ended up on a 7 to 9 schedule, is because I needed to be able to go and work around him. And I actually have to get off of this at 9 o'clock because I go down every night and I try and sit with him whenever possible, so that I can sit with him and talk and you know, keep him witty and keep talking to him. He likes to go and check in on the lawn tractor stuff that I'm doing, just like you guys do. He likes to find out what crazy, stupid way I managed to fix something and things like that. By the way, did any of you watch that last John Deere video? What did you think of that starter? I can't believe that thing came back to life. That was awesome. I totally didn't think it was coming back. Oh, let's see. Had to cut the blowgun short though. I was just a little term, and my lungs just weren't big enough to blow the dart all the way out. You know how you solve that? You take the blowgun, you get a single shot pump action paintball pistol from Walmart, and you use black tape and you make it so it's the right size to ram down the barrel. You load that blowgun, you ram it down the barrel, you pump it, and then you put it straight through 1-inch pine. I'm not joking. Try it. I dare you. Go grab a Walmart paintball gun, pump action, stuff a blowgun barrel down it with some black tape around the outside edge in order to act as a seal, and you will take a 3-inch blowgun dart and you'll put it straight through 1-inch pine all day long. Try it at about 20 yards. Scary. I put the sticker I got from you on my skateboard. Cool. Surf's up. WD-40 and a lighter. Does WD-40 and a lighter still work? I thought WD-40 didn't work anymore. All right, wait a minute. We're testing something. Okay. I could have sworn WD-40 got changed. Let's see. Can you guys see that? Yeah. Huh. I stand corrected. That really wasn't that big of a fireball, though. Okay, so I guess WD-40 does still work. I thought it got changed so it was non-flammable. Maybe I must be wrong on that, apparently. Obviously, it lit on fire. But, although, I'm going to bet the brake cleaner probably lights better, though. I mean, this is in the name of science in order to go and kill wasps, right? Oh yeah, that definitely lit better. Okay, so our discovery was that WD-40 does still light, but brake cleaner definitely lights better. Starter fluid works good. That's what I use for mud bees. You know what I do to deal with ants? Boy, we're getting really violent in this conversation. What I do to deal with ants is I actually take kerosene and I go out and I pour down the anthill. I pour kerosene, probably 2 cups worth or so, and I let them dig out through it, and then I pour another cup in the next day. And I let them dig out through it, and then the next time I see it dug out, I pour another cup in, and then on the 4th one, I pour the cup on and I light it. And usually I'll add like a little bit of gasoline or something in order to light it, and it'll wick up through the tunnels, and it'll suck all the oxygen out, and it'll kill the entire colony by sucking all the oxygen up through, because the kerosene soaking down through for the last 3 or 4 days ends up causing a wicking effect up through. But that's how I deal with ants. Up here we have these stinging ants that are they're red ants with a black tail and with a black abdomen, and they'll sting, and people like me are really allergic to them, and they'll cause you to break out with rashes and hives and everything else, kind of like those caterpillars everybody breaks out from, only with ants. And they bite horrible, they sting you, they're stupid, they're like some sort of micro fire ant, and I don't mess with them at all. I'm not nice about it at all. I just burn them. Kerosene 4 days in a row, and then add in the kerosene with gasoline, light it up, and let it wick it up through. Hello from Belfast, Maine. Hello. Let's see. Got a John Deere 318. Cool. I myself, I'm not really much of a John Deere fan, but that's because John Deere's are one of those, you buy it once, you own it the rest of your life type tractors, and they just cost everything and anything in order to fix up half the time. So if you're somebody like me that buys it, excuse me, got burps in it. If you're somebody like me that buys them in order to be able to rebuild and then sell, it just is not a profitable market when it comes to John Deere's. So I tend to avoid them, but I can understand why people like them. Chris says, keep the videos going. I enjoy them. Good night. Have work in 6 hours. Tell Lucky hello from Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland. Awesome. Wicked good. Usually we got somebody from Belgium that logs in every once in a while. He's a real cool dude. He actually has a little small YouTube channel. I can't think of what the name is, though. But he's cool. I gave him a shout out about a year ago, and now I can't think of what his name is. That's going to bug me. I'm going to have to look him up now. Would you recommend putting 2212-8 bear claws on an MTD? Okay, this is one of those situations where you have the jack inappropriate term answer, and then you have the realist answer, and then you have the recommendation. Okay? The jack inappropriate term is, sure, go ahead. Tell me how it works. The realist answer, okay? The realist answer is, well, what the hell did I do with it? Give me a sec. This is your MTD rear end, okay? There's no bracing case anywhere. There's only this little itty bitty brace here. There's not like 6 of them. And they explode like this one out the side of it. See? Big hole. Okay? So to answer your question, I exploded that one running 18-inch agriculturals. I got a set of 18-inch ags. Wait a minute. Where are they? These are what I recommend running on an MTD for your biggest possible off-road tire. They are 18 9.5 by 8s. These are agricultural. You can find them on Amazon if you type that in. They're high run series. See what you guys did? You made me get my seat all dirty. I tell you, it was never, ever dirty until I had to deal with you guys. I'm telling you, seriously. Thorough lie there. Have you guys seen these? These are awesome. I love this thing. I probably use this thing like 4 times a day right now. I'm really surprised I haven't burnt it out. I love it. Let me see. Fire and Gasoline says going to eat. Have a good night. Good night, man. Keep up the awesome videos. You do really good work. Samuel Johnson, hey, big fan right here. Thanks. I appreciate that. You know, I wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, which is why it is that I'm doing these live chats and stuff in order to be able to trade information and help each other. Like the rat traps earlier. That was awesome. You know, we now got 5 different things we can try in the rat traps and a whole bunch of other ideas to go and play around with. I really like the idea of the Elmer's glue. That one's awesome. I'm a Craftsman guy myself. When it comes to tractors to go and rebuild, I tend to try to stick with the I tend to try to go and stick with the Poulins, the Husqvarnas, and the Craftsmans that are all interchangeable AYP style chassis. The decks are pretty interchangeable between the Husqvarnas and the Craftsmans most of the time. So that's the reason I stick with that kind of setup if I can. I'm getting to the point now I can really tear down most MTDs down to the frame in a matter of like an hour if I need to. So the Vari-Drive system doesn't upset me as much as it used to, but it's still a big pain in the neck. Are you going to do a video of the starter rebuild and troubleshoot what type of parts? Thanks. Chris, I'm not exactly sure what you're asking for with a video there. I mean, a starter rebuild is pretty standard as far as like what you're looking for. I mean, you basically just pull the top off, pull the spindle out, and then make sure your magnets end up going back in correctly. And that's just simply you push them back in and you put a socket in there and then set your piece down in and put the spindle back in the center and go. There's not really that much to rebuilding the starters in most of these machines. I mean, I can try and shoot a tear down video on the next one that's really bad and maybe do a basic rebuild. I can give you a helpful tip for rebuilding the top of them. Let me give you a helpful tip. So I guarantee I can give you a helpful tip for the one tool that is probably in your toolbox that you have never used. I guarantee that you probably have one in your toolbox and you have never used it. It's a 9mm wrench. Okay? So here's what you do, okay? When you're rebuilding the top on one of these, you've got to take this out. And the reason why this is here is because the screwdriver fits down in there in order to be able to pull that C-clip. So when you go back and forth with it, you can get the C-clip to come up, and you get that C-clip to come up with prying with it with a screwdriver. Now the problem is, how do you get the stupid thing to go back on when you go to rebuild it? Well, the answer to that, if I lower this a little bit, the answer to that is you put that little clip on there and you take your 9mm that you never use for anything, okay? You put the clip on there, you set your 9mm across the top of that clip, and you punch it with something. And the 9mm actually sits down just barely and ends up popping the clip down onto the shaft. And once you get it down onto the shaft, you can go back around with a 10mm socket and drive it the rest of the way. So there's your tip for the 9mm that you never ever use in your tool set. You use it to put that stupid little clip ring on. And you just punch it right on. See right there? You put that clip ring in, you set that right like that, you take a hammer and just give it a twack and it snaps it right on. That's my helpful tip. All right, let's see if we can catch up on some comments and see where we're going here. All right, let's see. Damn Yankee. Yes, I am a Yankee. You should have a fan meet. I don't know that I want to have a fan meet per se. I have decided that if I get the chance to maybe set up at like one of the bigger fairs or something, maybe set up a time to meet in the tractor area at a large fair or something like that. Maybe something like that. Maybe posting up like a meet time at like a tractor pull or something at one of the fairs, something lawn tractor related in a public place. I'm not really too keen on the idea of having like a ton of people come to my house for a couple of different reasons, but I would like to do some sort of meetup option, but have it just be kind of a casual type idea, like, hey guys, I'm going to be here if you happen to feel like dropping in or something like that. You get where I'm going with that? Bayside Customs says, what about Weed Eater parts with Craftsman? See, okay, Weed Eater is one of those really weird like sub brands where they rent out the chassis types from other companies. So you end up with some Weed Eaters that are interchangeable with Craftsman's, but then you also end up with some Weed Eaters that are MTD based. I've actually got one of those kicking around here that's a Weed Eater that's an MTD base. And if it's an MTD based tractor, it basically is just parts. If it's a simple, fast 5-second rebuild, I'll flip them. But otherwise than that, I usually just rip the engine off and I send it to scrap rather than deciding to rebuild it. Because once the Vari-Drive system starts to gum up and it starts to get messed up, it's very hard to bring it back. The Vari-Drive pulleys, once they start to rust over, most of the time you can't rebuild them without having them decide to eat sideways and then kill themselves. So I don't even bother. Yeah. Bayside Custom wants to know, what is an AYP? Okay, AYP is an original series called American Yard Products, as Craftsman Quad said. So what you have in the lawn tractor world in today's market, okay, nobody actually makes their own tractors anymore. They're basically just renting pre-existing platforms from the company that created them. The AYP being one of those platforms. The Mud Wizard is built on an AYP chassis. The original main mud mower is built on an AYP chassis. Most of your Craftsman LT series is AYP chassis. It's the chassis series. So if you were talking with an old muscle car guy, you would say, oh, I got this awesome G-body setup. That's the same idea as talking AYP versus MTD. Okay? That's the same difference between talking like unibody, like unibody half setups, like the old T-Birds used to be. T-Birds used to have this weird unibody sub setup and stuff like that. So that's the reason why the frames used to twist, and you don't see very many drag racers running them. Versus the G-body setup, which was done with a lot of your Chevy small blocks and stuff like that back in the 80s. And they were solid frames all the way from one end to the other with cross members going between them. And you could put cross beams into them in order to make them even solider. And that's the difference between an MTD chassis versus an AYP chassis. Is AYPs are more like your old-fashioned G-body style in the drag racing world versus your half unibody styles that used to go and crumple and fold and stuff like that. And that's the reason why it is that a lot of us will end up saying, you know, the Craftsmans, the Husqvarnas, the AYP stuff, the Murray C channels, once you put in a double pulley clutch and stuff like that, those are good for building. But MTDs are just made for mowing a lawn. I mean, ironically, they're both made just for mowing a lawn, but we don't listen. That just is who we are. We don't listen. I want more mud mower guys in Oklahoma. I agree. I want more mud mower guys across the entire country. We're going to take over the nation. You know what I would really love to see? I would really love to see a mud mower show up in a zombie film. Like there should be like a group of us to get together and we send Day of the Dead or whatever that stupid show is that's on like season 9.5 or whatever. We should send them like a big giant list of or a recommendation, or everybody should go and tell them they need a mud mower on the show. That's what we should do. What was your first mud mower you built? My first original mud mower, if you want to call it that, was back when I was 14 years old, and my dad had this Aries 1970s mower, and it didn't have a starter. You actually had an original from factory pull start that you had to wind it and give it a rip and hope that it didn't bust your knuckles by catching and reeling you back in. It was one of those with a Peerless 5-speed 700 in it, and that was what I learned on. I did a bunch of stuff with that, and that was back before I knew anything I do now, and I really miss that machine. I wish I had it back. They don't make them. They haven't made them in over 20 years, and by the time I was done with that one, it was just so absolutely unusable. It went to the scrapyard. All right, so I'm going to answer this last question here, and then I'm going to probably call it good because we're at 9 o'clock. As you guys who have been around for most of the talk know, I've got to scoot for personal reasons in order to go take care of my family and my dad and stuff. So as far as the last question that just got posted about will you ever be able to go to Haspin? I understand you're busy being Mr. Mom, but maybe some year in the future. I'm hoping to be there pretty much from now on. Man, what a blast. I would love to. We actually have a version of Haspin that's growing up here in Maine. I've gotten a hold of the person that runs it, and I do have permission to show up, sign an insurance form, and go for it. And so I'm going to be checking into that and seeing what I can do and go from there. We're going to hopefully manage to make it there at some point during this summer. My goal is to try and go up there, spend some time, and see what I can do. Otherwise than that, I think it's been a really good talk. I've enjoyed everybody coming in. We're just crossing the 2 hour mark right now, and my voice is starting to definitely feel it. I've got a lot I got to get done tomorrow. Um, I got 5 more machines, 4-ish type machines to be working on at this point, and I'll get up some more videos for you guys later. Thank you very much for everybody that stopped in, that supported this. If you can share this video once I get it produced with anybody that is able to able to learn anything, or anybody that's talking about the mole stuff and they want to hear from somebody else, or they just want to send somebody a question about it, feel free to send them this video and let them watch the first part of it. I will probably post up another video talking more about this and exactly what they did during the appointment, just because I think it's something that if I had been able to have somebody talk more personable to me about what they were going to do, how they felt, and the way that they proceeded about it, I would have been more comfortable going in my first time. I literally was very butterflies in the stomach, very sick to my stomach the first time I went in. I was expecting it to be some very horrible, scary situation. And by the time I went in for my second appointment, I sat right there and said, okay, let's rip out as many as we can in one appointment. Um, so I think I'm going to do something for people to be able to go and see that. But thanks everybody for supporting me. I'm going to go see my dad. Um, I will post when this video is up tomorrow. I will add the address to be able to go and send my dad letters. If you want to go and send him something, say hi, make an old man have a happier day, all that kind of fun stuff. He'd really appreciate it, and I would really appreciate it. Thanks everybody for all your support. And that's not a beer.